Today we are going to share 5 things that you are going to want to know about buying a manufactured home here in Oregon. This is something that I feel like it's very timely because we have been getting asked a lot about this lately, being that many of our clients are first-time home buyers. Many of them have been priced out of the market or just can't quite afford what they maybe would have expected to afford a few years ago. And so because of that, this is a topic of conversation that's coming up a lot. So we have 5 things you need to know.
Wait, we need to clarify first.
Yes.
So is there a manufactured home on its own land? Or is there a manufactured home in a park? You don't own the space? What type of manufactured home purchase are we really going to go over today?
I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so this is another thing that as realtors, we always get asked about. It seems like everybody wants a manufactured home on its own land. We get asked about this so often and always have. And, you know, I get it. It seems like it's a very, if you just think about it this way, like, oh, I'm just going to buy the lot and then buy the manufactured home and then have it moved onto the lot. Like if that's all there is to do, it does seem like it's a very easy, affordable way to go because you can buy a new manufactured home that's like stunning, 1,900 square feet, beautiful, brand new, looks like a new construction home on the inside for a fraction of what you could obviously pay for the same square footage for a house. So it seems like a great way to go. However, those transactions are very, if you're wanting one that's already on its own land, it's very hard to find because people they don't have a high turnover rate. And if you're wanting to buy the lot and then move the manufactured home onto it, trust me, it is not like you can make it work and maybe that is the right way to go for you, but it is not just this quick, easy, cheap route. We've seen buyers, get into this situation and get in way over their head because there's a lot more. So we're talking about homes and parks.
Homes and parks.
So you own the home.
I will stay
don't
off
own the
of
land.
The other subject.
Yes. You own the home, not the land, and you pay space rent.
I don't know what it is though with a lot of people though. I think they look at it as, oh, okay, I can buy this double, triple wide, 2,000 square feet home, for just under 200 grand, probably straight from factory, brand new. 1,800 square feet.
That would be huge. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 1,800 square feet plus. And they just think, okay, I can buy that for under 200,000.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I can't find a stick build on a quarter acre lot for under 600,000 or 700,000 with that square footage. And I understand where you're coming from. I do. But for instance, I have a buddy right now. This is a real life situation. And when you get involved in these type of transactions, these type of deals, it's really not broker based. So guys like us, Mariah, you're not really helping to facilitate that sale and transaction. Our job would most likely be go buy the piece of bare land, help you find the right property to then do your goal, which is a manufactured home, or then instilling a well and then bringing power on and then the sewer. There's more than just buying a bare piece of land.
And just to add to that, finding a piece of land that is certified, because where we live in Oregon, at least, if you're buying a piece of property and you're going to move a manufactured home onto it, it needs to be zoned that way. So it needs to be, the property itself needs to be certified for a manufactured home to be moved onto it, which it's surprisingly very difficult to find. Very difficult to find. And
I mean, Oregon law, they want people to have houses over their head. Okay. So you just need to prove the rights of, hey, this is the land use of what I'm doing. And then you basically present your plans to the building community or the city council, whatever it may be. And then you keep on going through permitting and the process and you go down that route. And that's why my buddy's still over a year and a half living in his trailer and doesn't have a home on this property. Even though it's a great piece of property, there's still a lot of work. There was a lot of trees. It was over an acre lot. That's great. That's exactly what a lot of clients like you would probably do the scenario for. It's possible, yes, but it just takes more of a process. And if you're the type that just wants it here and wants it now, well, okay, that's going to cost you money as well. So there's 2 sides to every coin. And for today's reasoning, I'm really happy you're talking about homes and parks. Okay. Yeah. Mariah and I are very experienced in not land sales, but manufactured home sales in parks. That's how Mariah got started in the business. And the fact that you're bringing that up in today's show, I would say that's a 30 to 40% of our business yearly. And that just comes from referral base. We've been doing this a long time. We know those sale agreements. We know how the park approval processes work, the park managers, how they want to react, and what you need to do in order to be pre-qualified to buy in these parks. So let's get started because I know this stuff like the back of my hands. I can talk for days about it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of misconceptions and there's a lot of things people don't know. And like I said, right now, a lot of people have questions about it. Also, real quick, I woke up with a little bit of a sniffle. So if you hear me sniffing, I'm going to try not to. If you hear me sneezing, I apologize ahead of time. Okay. Okay. So first thing is you can actually save a lot of money. Okay, so let's just talk about for a hot second what in our area, at least in Oregon, you can get for $130,000 in a park versus what the same size home would cost if it was not a home in a park. Now I understand there's downsides, which we'll get to that, but $130,000. So if I was looking up a manufactured home for a home buyer, $130,000, it is probably going to be depends on the park because that definitely changes. And if you're in a 55 and over park, which we'll get into this, you're going to see lower prices. But if we're talking like first time buyer, you want an all age friendly community, you're going to see maybe 1,700 square foot, 4-bedroom, either recently completely remodeled or newer, maybe 2019 built. I think that's definitely realistic to get for that price.
Yeah. And
if we were buying a stick built home for, that criteria, I mean,
you're 450 plus.
Even 450 is, the things I'm showing how I have buyers in that price range right now in 450. And what we're seeing is, everything's built in the 70s and hasn't been touched and it's much smaller square footage. So definitely, going to be paying a lot more. So you can definitely save money. The second is you need to know this. You own the home. You don't own the land because
what does that mean, Mariah?
So the home in this situation, it's actually quite interesting. A lot of realtors cannot even sell manufactured homes in parks because it's a separate license. Other than just selling regular residential homes.
You've probably done this, but have you ever gone through a deal and on the other side and on the buyer side, they didn't actually have a license to sell the manufactured home in the first place?
We haven't. I've had times where they showed the house and then realized they couldn't sell it, and so they'd like pass it on to me or something. But
I've had that happen, dude. This poor gal, she sent me the sale agreement. We got under contract, and then a week later, after their inspections, they're like, I don't actually have a license to sell this. So I ended up having to work her client's side, and I gave her a referral fee because I'm so generous. But you do have to be licensed to sell manufactured homes in parks. Yeah. So whatever brokerage you're under, I'm talking to realtors right now.
Right.
Not everybody has this licensing or capability, and that's why I would suggest we are specialists in this area because of our experiences that we've had through the years. Yeah,
and we're under Real Broker, if you've ever heard of it. It's fastest growing real estate company in the world, actually, which is crazy.
And Oregon possibly got their manufactured home license because of us.
Yeah, that's
true. Joining this brokerage.
Our company didn't have the license, but now they do. So if you are with Real Broker in our area, you're joining it, you can certainly sell these homes as well. Okay, but as I was saying, so because you own the home, but you do not own the land underneath, that makes the home personal property. When you own the home as well as the land, it's real property. It's attached to the ground, whatever. But if you don't own the land as well, the space under it is personal property, legally not real property.
It's movable. So just like the picture on your wall, you can move it from the wall.
Yes, it sounds like you're teaching real estate school right now. This is the things you learn. So the next the thing, because of that, you need to know, because it is not real property, it is personal property. A regular lender cannot finance homes and parks. It can actually be quite difficult in some cases to find solid financing for these. However, do not fret. We have fabulous lenders. Like Spencer said, we have sold so many of these in our real estate years. And so because of this, we've really vetted out the good ones and the bad ones. We've had some horrible experiences with crummy manufactured home lending institutions. I won't name any names, but the big ones, it seems to be there that have call centers and they're not like very hard to work with.
Let me give you a scenario though.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so a month ago, this is relevant. I'm showing a manufactured home. This gal, she's got financing already, so she didn't seem that she needed to continue on with financing. Well, we go to the showing. She wants the home. It's a hot home in the Beaverton, Portland market, under sale price. So she says, hey, I'm going to go over ask. I was like, okay. Because we were going through multiple people, multiple buyers wanting this home, and she really wanted this one. It was the one for her. So I asked her, I say, hey, what's your lending institution? She already told me previously, but now I'm face-to-face, so I'm having that other contact with her about the lending institution. It's very important to have. She says, well, it's so-and-so's company. I said, well, have you tried so-and-so here in Oregon? Because this company, I've done lots of transactions with them, and they will drag out this process for 2+ months, whatever, and sometimes you do not even get the sale at the end of the day. They make everything so dang hard. Oh, yeah. And they're usually 1.5 points more in interest. Yeah. So when you're working with some companies that we've had experiences with, we're not getting a paid fee for me to reference my current lender that's more local, that's making this buying process so much more easier for you and on our lives. So she ends up calling my lender right there in the home. I say, hey, here's her number. Call her right now. She did. My gal pre-approved her over the phone in this but showing.
Buying. While you were in the house.
While I'm in the house.
That's fabulous.
And it wasn't that she wasn't already pre-approved. She was already pre-approved with a different company. And I said, let's go somewhere else maybe and see if there's a difference.
That's awesome.
So don't always just go with the first lender you call up, guys, and maybe trust your real estate professional, Mariah and I, and like she did. And guess what? She got pre-approved that day. And guess what? A month and a half later, we are closing, and she has got her home, and it's at an excellent interest rate at a great park. And there's differences in lending.
Yes.
Okay. And those really make real estate transactions happen.
And the reason we send our clients to the lenders that we send them as a buyer, you have the freedom to work with whatever lender you choose to. But the reason we send our clients is whether it's a, residential home and you're buying $1 million house, or whether you are buying a manufactured home and you need that kind of lender, the person we send you to is genuinely because we have sold so many homes over the years and we've worked with so many lenders and we've really vetted it out. Same with inspector. The reason we send our, recommend the home inspector is because we've worked with crummy ones and then we find a great one and we're going to stick with them. We've done the work for you so that hopefully you can trust us. But yes, so financing, we can send you someone though. Just know if if you went to your bank to get a loan, or if you went to a whatever regular home loan lender, you're not going to be able to use them for this home not on its own land, but we can send you some solid recommendations. Reach out anytime. Okay. The third thing you need to know is, so there is a 55 and over. There's 55 and over parks. Yeah, and there's also all age communities. That's generally in our area the two options you're going to see. I would say, in our area, so we work and live in Salem. We work in all the surrounding towns, basically an hour out in every direction, which it covers a lot of space. And we've worked in probably every park there's a lot of parks here, guys. Everywhere from
there's more than you think.
Portland, past Portland, Eugene, past Eugene, and then the other directions. There's a lot of parks and we've seen a lot of them. And basically what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of great parks in the area, and some of them are going to be all age friendly, meaning you can live there if you have kids. You can be whatever age, family friendly, and those ones tend to have children's playgrounds. You're going to see more, not all of them obviously, but some of them are going to have swimming pools or that type of thing. And then you're going to see the 55 and over, which is you're going to have to be over 55 to live there, which I think is strange because 55 isn't that old. So I don't know, but anyway, so I don't know. It's weird to me. There's 55 and over ones, and I lost my train of thought. You're going to pay, I knew what I was going to say. You're going to pay less for the 55 and over community. So, but most of the time, not always, but most of the time from what we've seen, generally the price tag, I don't really know why that is. It's going to be lower for some reason. It really goes off of the price, the park to park. All the homes in Lakeside Village seem to be, that's a family friendly park in our area. All the homes seem to be around the same price point. They're all mid $100,000 range, and then there's other parks where they're all under 100,000. So it's very park to park.
Something to reference is not every side of town's the same. What I mean by that is
Yeah.
not every park's the same.
Yeah.
You get older units in some parks, and they don't have, a 2019 or 2015 unit or newer. Sometimes the newest unit could be 2000 or 1995, So you can deal with manufactured home parks that are older, and they only have units, that, as from my recollection growing up, tin boxes. They were metal framed manufactured homes. And so not every park is the same. And that sometimes does, in a way, affect space rent and the clientele, but also the resale values, the purchasing prices. And so that's something that we do need to reference, though, is your price point. What's important to you? And the majority of people that I talk to is price. Well, remember this one, guys. Not every manufactured home is financeable. A residential home, you could live in a 1968 build, and that's financeable. Yeah. Well, when you're dealing with manufactured homes in parks, you can only deal with homes that are built 1976 or newer. So
or you're paying cash.
Yes, anything prior to 76, you have to pay cash for. So if it's an $80,000 price tag, well, guess what? You will have to pay $80,000 to purchase that home. If it was built before 1976. Yeah. That's an educational thing that a lot of people don't understand or know.
Yes.
And so I wouldn't drop that much cash on a home. At that point, you got to realize what else you could be buying for $80,000.
If you're putting that amount down.
Yeah, yeah. Right. So you want to be able to leverage your money, in my sense, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. If you need a home, you need a home.
That's the thing, like working with manufactured home sellers, that they really have to understand is that if your home, it could be the greatest home, you did all these updates, it's big, you made it look nice, like manufactured home wise, but if it is built prior to that year, then it is going to be priced significantly lower than a home built after that year, only because it's so much harder to find buyers that, how many buyers that have $80,000 cash for, and if they do, they're putting it down on a nice home, you know what I mean? Like a residential. So it's very difficult to find, but just something to keep in mind. Okay, so moving on. The next thing to know is you may have amenities that are pretty useful. So some parks are going to have amenities, I would say more from what I've seen, more often don't. Wouldn't you agree?
I would say more often than not now in today's age. Yeah. Older parks, they used to. A lot of 55 and older parks, they generally have like the pool house and that type of stuff. Amenities to me aren't necessarily things to do when I'm looking at homes and parks. And what I mean is this. With your space rent, there's something called water, there's something called sewer, your garbage, your cable. And so if you can have a park that includes that as part of your space rent, that to me is an amenity, okay? Because I don't want an additional bill on top of my space rent, because space rent's never going to go. It's just like being a tenant, right? You're never going to be capturing that money again. You're going to say, hey, here you go, so-and-so. You can have that forever. But if you can include and package it with water, space, garbage, sewer, cable, if you can. Some parks definitely offer that. I'd recommend finding that one. And sometimes that's why we can justify paying a little bit more in this particular park than, say, the other park that don't include those amenities.
Something I've heard buyers say often is that they think it's a waste of money to buy a manufactured home in a park because that space rent never goes away. So while they're paying their mortgage, they're also paying the space rent on top of the mortgage. And it is very true. Space rent's gotten very expensive, but has rent not gotten expensive? Has home payments not gotten expensive? They have as well. It's crazy. But I remember when I first got my license in 2015, compared to now, the space rent, it's a big difference. But something I think it's important to note is we have worked with so many manufactured home sellers who they bought this manufactured home, lived in it for however long, and the price they're selling it for is so much more than what they bought it for. They're making a lot of money. Also, because we're in a very equity rich market, people say manufactured homes don't appreciate. From our experience, that hasn't been the case. You got to take care of your home. But
you're selling for more than you bought it for, especially if you've held on to it lately.
Although you're paying that space rent, so they're paying, let's just say $750, $800 a month space rent on top of their mortgage. If, first of all, you can't find rent for $800 a month, especially if you're looking for something that's like its own house, not an apartment that's really small. There is nowhere in our area you can find rent for that amount. And although you're paying that space rent on top of the home amount, if you were just flat out renting because you thought it made more sense, because you thought this was a waste of money and this was your only option, you wouldn't have anything to sell. And we've seen these clients sell these manufactured homes and have a good down payment to put down. And now they're able to go buy something else that maybe fits a little bit more of what they're actually wanting. You know, if that makes sense. And they wouldn't have had that down payment if they would have been renting this whole time. So it seems, I understand the argument of like, it's always a waste of money. Space rent is so expensive. But if you think about it that way, you're living in a probably like 1,700 square foot home for, you know, that you bought for 120 grand and you have something to sell. So to me, it does make sense because I've seen the numbers. Okay.
Man, I'm dealing with this gal.
Yes.
Here in Oregon. And they basically inherited this home. She was a caretaker for whoever lived there prior, and they basically got the home in trade of work for caregiving. And so now, 5 years later, they're selling this home for $85,000. That's the price tag.
Wow.
And it will sell. And that's actually undervalued. And this home was built in 72.
Okay.
1972.
So it was cash? No, it wasn't cash.
They got it for free.
That's
in
amazing.
Trade of work.
Wow.
So it wasn't free, but it was a trade.
That's awesome.
Now, in their eyes, they have done this, that, replaced some flooring, if that.
Yeah.
But then they also have included their space rent in the monthly as I would say, a equity thing that they've been taken from them. And I said, I don't really know how to justify space rent. You chose to pay space rent that never will go towards this home. But they want to gain all of that rent back from the time they've been living there 5 years ago.
Makes sense to want to do that, but it doesn't mean you're going
to. Want to. But I mean, I'm just saying the psychology of some people, though.
Right.
Not everybody is in this opportunity to get a home for free, technically, and now resell it for $85,000.
Right.
That's a good chunk of coin.
I know.
You know, at the end of the day.
Right.
So one thing we do got to consider, though, is what the park in other sales have sold for in that park.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's what an appraiser is going to go off of. That's what the buyer is going to go off of. That's what I, as a professional realtor, is going to go off of. Because we can only sell for as much as what we have seen sell in that park. Some people, they want to go across town or say, well, you could buy a 2,000 square foot home for 400 grand. Why can't I sell for 230? I want that for you. I do.
I want that for you.
But at the end of the day, the way manufactured homes work in parks is you base it off of your current park you live in. Okay. Now, if there's no sales, okay, now we can maybe explore an arm's length away. But that's something to keep in mind, especially when you're looking at homes in parks or getting ready to sell your current home in a park. Is look in the neighborhood, look in the for sale by owners, look at the past sales in the last year and see what they've gone for.
Yeah, that's so true. It definitely goes off of homes in that particular park. Not even, I mean, even a park that's nearby, like literally right next to this one, the prices could be drastically different. So it really goes off of that particular one. Okay, so the last thing you need to know is you're probably going to have restrictions on pets, at least somewhat. Now,
I've seen that. Yeah.
Most parks do.
They allow dogs. They allow pets and animals.
They do allow them. But most have restrictions on them, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But however, I've seen a lot of parks have these rules in their CC&Rs, whatever, and they don't apply them. They don't really care or enforce it. So it just depends on the area.
I'm going to look the other way.
The park that you're in. But I will say most of them have at least some sort of limit as to how many cats you can have, for example. I mean, like I have a listing right now that's a manufactured home in a park, and they have 3 cats, and so and they have restrictions as to how many they can have. So maybe you just can't have like 5 or 10. I don't know. And then also most of them have restrictions as to what kind of dog you can have. Usually it's not too restrictive. It's usually just like a pit bull and a Rottweiler is what I've seen.
There's only a certain amount of breeds that you can't bring in.
If anything, some of them don't have that, but that's just something to be aware of, and that's due diligence that your realtor should be doing for you. Once your offer is accepted on the home, you'll have 3 business days to get your park approval submitted, and you'll find out all this information when you do that. So that's it.
And I think that's pretty valid, though.
Yeah.
So when do you actually turn in your park application?
Well, I always write in an offer if I'm writing up the offer, that we have 3 business days to get the park approval, get our application out, because you can't really control. Sometimes they take a while to get it back to you. Can't control when it gets back to you, but you've got 3 days. And if I'm working with the seller, I always want to make sure that the buyer's agent is on it, because that's a big deal. You don't want to have the house tied up and a week later they still haven't even submitted it. It's like, what are we doing? You're wasting your time here, because if it doesn't, So the sooner the better. I've also seen buyers who are very motivated put in their applications before they even submit their offer, and if I'm the listing agent, that looks really, really good to me, and I like that. So, all right, guys, that's it for today.
If you need, hey guys, I'm going to leave it with this one though. If you need a manufactured home lender, because there are only a select few, your banks won't do it. You can go find a private money guy, but they will charge you higher interest rate. We have somebody for you, especially here in Oregon. If you are interested in moving to Oregon, or maybe you've been outpriced of the market, that's where a lot of these clients come from. Or if you haven't thought of this one, you're maybe 55 and older, or you have a big house and you're looking to downsize. You sell that off. You got lots of equity. You buy these manufactured homes cash. That is where a lot of these clienteles come from. So if that's something that fits your boot, please feel free to reach out to us. That's what we are here. We are the real estate professionals here in Oregon. My name's Spencer.
And my name's Mariah.
And we will see you guys next week.